Anytime you're talking about anabolic steroid use, you have to actually be careful because there's a lot of different steroids that fall into that category. So the answer to all of these is going to depend on which specific anabolic steroid you're talking about. Let's just go with testosterone as an easy example. So first of all, the amount of testosterone that is released from a single bout of exercise, say a hypertrophy workout, actually probably plays very little role in inducing muscle hypertrophy. And that's a bit controversial, and it's something we haven't always thought before. So I think a lot of scientists now are recognizing there may not be that role of hormones in inducing hypertrophy that we previously thought. Having said that, exogenous testosterone, so this would be something injected or taken as a cream or pill, something like that, that actually has a massive benefit for muscle hypertrophy specifically. But that's because it's coming at a magnitude far higher than would happen endogenously or normally. And so that seems to have a very pronounced effect for muscle hypertrophy. How that influences strength or conditioning or anything else would be indirect at best. And so it's hard to say that it won't help you. So for example, if you took a bunch of testosterone and that improved your recovery and you felt better and that allowed you to train more often, that extra training would probably enhance your conditioning or your strength. But in and of itself, it really doesn't have the mechanism available to pronounce an increase in strength. So if you look at strength for an example, that's going to require neurological activation, the muscle to contract, and then the muscle has to pull on the connective tissue to move the bone. So it's a three-part system really. Well, it's not going to improve your neural transmissions probably. It's not going to really do much for the tendon strength or the tendon strength. It's not really going to improve the contractile function of the muscle either unless it came along with some increase in muscle size. So it's probably not the most direct way to increase strength, but having said that, if you're low on testosterone, bringing you from a low place to a normal place is probably going to have a lot of benefit because you'll feel so much better and you'll be able to train harder. You're much more likely to yield more vigor. You're going to show up at the gym more often. But going from normal to high may not have the same benefit. So if you're a 24-year-old dude and you're abnormal healthy, you haven't had any brain injury or anything like that, taking a round of tests is probably not going to do much for your strength. While it might help you add some muscle mass. But if you are low for some reason, adding a little bit of testosterone may help you improve those conditioning or other goals. But that's an extremely immature and jealous comment. It's like you don't think somebody that has the training experience that he has, around the people he has, worked with the people he has nothing to offer you? I think he probably does. Let's be real, he's got some advice, he's got some knowledge there. But yeah, if you think that if you do a training program and it's going to improve your squat 100 pounds, and then you take a cycle of testosterone and you think it's going to improve you 700 pounds, like you're out of your mind. We don't have any idea what the percentages are on those things. 5, 10%, 15, 20%, I don't know, but if you calculate that out, that's not that much actual weight. The difficulty is we don't really have the ability to do studies like this where we can take people, put them on testosterone, and measure the performance. So we don't know. I would also say it depends on your own physiology. If you are, again, low in testosterone, then taking that round may have a huge benefit for your training. But if you're normal and you're going from normal to super maximal, you may not see much benefit at all. And in addition, what people forget about testosterone or any anabolic hormone, or steroid for that matter, you still have to do the work. Like if you don't do the work, you're not going to get stronger. Unlike EPO or something where it will increase red blood cell count just by itself. Testosterone doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't add muscle mass. You still have to do the work. You still have to eat. So that's my initial reaction to those comments is, okay, but I don't know how that helped the conversation. Muscle hypertrophy happens from one of two ways. Either the individual muscle fibers get larger, right? So if you realize that your muscles are actually built on thousands, actually billions of individual fibers. So if your bicep gets bigger, it's because the fibers within it increase their diameter, right? So the bicep got bigger. That's hypertrophy specifically. But the other way your bicep could get bigger is if you added to the total number of muscle fibers in there. That's hyperplasia. And we've been told for decades hyperplasia doesn't exist in humans. It doesn't happen, right? It's impossible. Well, some pretty awesome data and some papers came out of Europe where they took a bunch of powerlifters who were acknowledged and they told flat out that they took anabolic steroids for probably decades at a time. Extended use nonetheless. Well, when they actually looked at these people's muscle fibers or muscle, what they found was they have really small fibers and a lot of them. Now, this doesn't prove anything, but it really suggests potentially long-term testosterone use could actually induce hyperplasia or an increase in total cell number. A lot to be researched and a lot to be studied in that area, but I think it is one of the things that we would continually bring up when we start talking about punishment for PED in athletes. Well, maybe you ban me for 6 months, but maybe I've added more muscle fibers, which are gonna stay around for years, presumably. So that's one of the more interesting new findings or things we would love to get into scientifically for testosterone or any anabolic steroid.